Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary to share another contemplative focus with you. And the focus I want to share with you today is our experience of reality is a reflection of where we are in our spiritual evolution. When we first began our human experience, we are limited to the physical world of manifest reality. Everything is physical with some energies like thoughts and emotions that we're aware of. And simultaneous with this physical reality, another reality is always present, but rarely perceived or experienced. In this live stream, we look at the mechanics of this double reality and our understanding of it. So we have the spiritual world, and then we have the physical world, and somehow we divide the two as if they are different and separate. And this is the what we have inherited as human beings throughout the ages. But if you look back at the history of mankind, it has slowly, it seems like forever, begun to understand more and more of the energies that are involved and intricately part of us and all of reality, which we are coming to closer and closer to in these days through the quantum mechanics and all the studies that have revealed the source of the energies that actually create the physical manifest world. So when we begin life as a human being, of course, we learn to speak, read, write, we learn to communicate, and we take on identities and a name, and we become identified with that image of who we are. Our parents, our friends, teachers, all the people that have come into our life to impress upon us something about what reality is and who we are has an impact on us. And we gather this information, and then let's say after you're about 7 years old or so, this all goes to your unconscious, and it's in you and it's active, but you're not aware of it like you were at 6 or 7 years old. So there's an unconscious identity that you are attached to, and there's a physical world that you experience every day, and then there's your spiritual growth, which may or may not even be conscious. But all these things seem to be separate and diffused and not really tied together. This is simply because the two realities, or what we perceive as two realities, are really the same thing. The physical reality is born out of the spiritual, what we call the spiritual reality, the subtle, energetic reality that is behind all of manifest reality. It's not different or separate from it in terms of like a wave is not different from the ocean, but it is a different expression. It's a singular expression of the ocean, and yet it's the ocean at the same time. And in that respect, we are source consciousness having a human experience. We are individual expressions of source consciousness having the human experience that we were intended to have, so that the primary intention in consciousness to fully be itself and to be able to experience itself is what's happening. It's happening, it's experiencing itself today, it's experiencing itself in billions, 8+ billion editions of itself, and all of them unique and separate, and yet all of them the same source consciousness. So this is well beyond anything that a mind can try to grasp or understand, and this is where the dilemma comes in with human beings, because we are so focused on our mind in the modern, so-called modern age, that we try to understand reality. We want to understand everything, and yet our efforts to understand lead us into a dead end over and over and over again. Or we realize at some point, if we're very focused on trying to understand something, we realize eventually that we really don't. And it seems like the mystery of life is forever beyond us. And it may be in some ways, but the thing is that the mystery of life is also one of the qualities of life. And when we're very young, when we're young children and we're just beginning to be aware of the world around us, we're in awe of the world. I remember as a child being in awe of flowers and bees and trees, and all the things that I saw were beautiful, and I could feel them kind of, and I was just blown away by all of nature. And by my pet dog and by my parents and everything. It was all a mystery, and yet I wasn't too concerned about it, because to me it was just there, and it wasn't something strange to me. It was something that belonged where it was, and I belonged where I was, and so forth. But there was a mystery, but there was no problem with that mystery. It was actually exciting, and it was kind of a wonder of life that I found myself in, until I went to school and started to learn. And when I started to learn and get more and more focused in my mental dimension and try to grasp everything through my mind, this is where the difficulties came in, because there was many things I didn't understand from that perspective. And there's still many things I don't understand from that perspective, and probably always will be. And yet, somehow, my life goes on, and nothing seems to be out of place, and everything just works as it's supposed to. And the more I relax into that reality, and the more I flow with that reality, the more it becomes apparent to me that that's exactly what's happening. I am an expression of source consciousness, and whatever my experience is to be, it will be. And I have very little choice about that, other than saying yes. I say yes to whatever shows up in my life. If I'm trying to get ready for one of these live streams and I have a lot of technical problems to work out in the process, that's what's happening. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. So the idea here is to be open and accepting as to life as it is happening, and not to be totally absorbed and feel the need to understand mentally and conceptually your life, who you are, what life is, any of these big philosophical questions. It's just a game of the mind. And if you get totally attached to that and you start to rely on that in order to have some kind of fulfillment or satisfaction, which many human beings do, then you're going down a dead-end road, and you're going to have a lot of difficulty with it. Unless, of course, you just happen to have the kind of personality that just likes doing it. Some people have that propensity in them to seek out philosophical answers to everything in their life. And there was a period of my life where I did that somewhat, and it was exciting in the beginning, but after a while I could see that it always ended up with the same result. I really didn't know anymore. I knew about ideas, but I didn't know what was behind, what the ideas were pointing to. You want to talk about consciousness, for example, a term that points to something that is the source of all of our reality, irregardless of what it is. But to really know consciousness, you have to experience yourself as consciousness. And this is the whole spiritual quest: to know and to understand and to belong and to be the source consciousness that is the creator of all and everything. So simultaneous to that reality, which we had experience of before taking form, here we have the, not as a person, of course, but as source consciousness. Now we're in a human form, and we're having we might call it an isolated, focused experience as a human being. And through that experience of what we are, what we say here, we say it, that is what I am not, because there is so much more to me than I could ever understand as a human being. Through that focus, eventually we come to the point where we realize that none of this is real, not in any ultimate sense. It's an expression of a reality that we are, and there's no reason to think that we've lost something, because we can't. We are source consciousness. We'll always be source consciousness, and whatever experience we're having within the intention in consciousness, it's our intention as well, and it's our experience that's helping to manifest the outcome and the success of that intention. So to be all that you can be is to be the human being that you are, and to relax into that and to enjoy it and explore it and celebrate that. And the way you do that is through meditation and the balance that meditation creates inside you, to the point where the mind begins to weaken, and you begin to have experiences that go beyond the mind, and then eventually that beyond the mind experience becomes a palpable energetic experience that stays with you. This is, of course, after you meditate for quite a while. I mean, some people may get it right away, but a lot of times it takes many years of meditation before you get enough balance and integrate your experiences as source consciousness to the point where you can own that as yourself. You know that that's who and what you are while you're having a human experience. The human experience is a temporary expression of consciousness that was birthed, and as all things that are born, it will also die. In other words, it will go back into itself as itself, and then whatever happens after that, who cares? You're still the same source consciousness. You can't be anything else, because that's all there is. And so, I guess in a nutshell, our experience of reality as a reflection of where we are in our evolution is like a mirror. So when you look at the world that you're experiencing, when you look at how you're experiencing the world and what's in it for you, think of it as a mirror, that this is where your evolution is taking you, and that whatever you see outside yourself is the illusion, and that illusion is telling you where you are. So if it's full of fear, if it's full of doubts, if it's not pleasant, if you're suffering, then you're lacking the balance that you need to go beyond that illusory experience of reality and to enjoy and celebrate yourself through the center of yourself as source consciousness. So the only answer is meditate, 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 and stay with it. Get the help you need. Go where you need to go. Do what you need to do, but stay with that focus, and eventually you'll get there. You'll experience yourself in a way that you could never possibly even dream of. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it's stimulating in some ways to people who are interested in meditation and want to grow their awareness and to become more and more aware of who and what they are beyond the human experience. So that's what I wanted to share today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back again next Monday with another live stream with a contemplative focus to share with you. So until then, I bid you adieu, and thank you so much for being here today.